Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday, February 9th, 2025. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and every Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, we come together and we talk a little bit about the transits, and then we do a little tarot card spread by rising sign. These are based on whole sign tropical Western astrology. If you don't know your rising sign, you'll want to go to any one of the free birth calculators on the internet. You just need your exact time of birth and location in order to determine that information. When I talk about a day and a time, it's based on the Pacific time zone, so you can adjust for your location. I want to offer this too, because for those of you who, good morning, Stephen. For those of you that know astrology, and are familiar with your natal charts, I have grown more and more accustomed and find more value in Placidus. I think this really is effectual for those that are from, say, the mid-degree rising all the way through to late degree risings, because as a 26-degree rising, Aries rising, most of my first house is Taurus, and that makes my second house Gemini, which very much changes the dynamic of who I am as a human. But when you put it in whole sign, that makes my first house Aries and my second house Taurus. So check your charts, because I've been thinking about my chart and about my skills and my talents. And I have a 15-degree midheaven. That midheaven at 15 degrees reflects the Gemini degree, which reflects mostly my second house. So my skills are talking, and I do it every Sunday morning. Good morning, Taylor. Good morning, Catherine. And I wanted to say this. We've been having fun on Wednesdays, doing our live tarot based on your personal questions. So I think this is going to become a regular thing. And while today is Super Bowl Sunday, and I don't expect to be, well, I'm having having a friend over this afternoon to watch the game, and but I think we're going to do this every Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific time. Yeah, aren't they fun? And I enjoy them because I get to interact. And I think YouTube is getting me, likes it because, as you guys do super chats and super thanks, YouTube likes me more. I haven't been making YouTube enough money on Sundays. So I think we're getting a little bit, I don't know. I feel like we're getting more traction. Isn't that fun? Yeah. So this week, okay. So as I was getting ready, I was thinking about, the transit. So first, let me tell you, I did a full moon in Leo video. So check that out. I did monthlies in February. I'm going to tell you, I jammed those out. I made a couple of mistakes in the later ones, like maybe Capricorn, Aquarius. I might have done it earlier because I referred to the 20th degree as Capricorn, and it's Scorpio. And I want to let you know, I know the difference. And having Jupiter transiting my second house of Gemini is making me move too fast, looking at the picture too broadly, and I get to slow down and not feel like you guys want me to just hurry up and get to the point. Although I do tend to think that anyway. But anyway, so check out those videos. Come on Wednesday, prepare your questions. It's really very, very fun to do. So let's talk a little bit about Mercury entering Pisces this week, because this year we have significant energy changes. We have already experienced Pluto going from the very dense and earth energy of Capricorn into the very quick energy of Aquarius, air. Then we're going to see Jupiter move into Gemini in June, and that's going to ramp things up. I'm sorry, Uranus move into Gemini later this year. It dips its toe. I don't know the date. Let me look exactly. Hold on. I could figure it out quickly. We're also heading into eclipse season next month, so be prepared for that, because this stellium in Pisces is going to be pretty significant. And I want to offer it this way, because that stellium is bringing in When does Uranus move into Gemini? It must be in the summertime. Sorry, you guys. I was not prepared this morning. Okay, in July, it moves into Gemini. It's going to tip its toe, and then it's going to go back into Taurus, wrap up the last few degrees of blowing up whatever's like stubborn and stuck, and it refuses to move forward. And then Neptune moves into Aries with Saturn, no less, dipping its toe, the two of them hanging out, bringing up history, bringing up, this is the thing. I don't want to be, dark or scary, but right now, I literally think that the stars are aligning for us to see where we've been deceived, where lines have been blurry, where there has been energies that are challenging us to go into our intuitive body and be more discerning. Maybe this has something to do with me watching Traders and going insane over the Traders series around the world, because it's all about deception and bamboozling other people. And so this week we have Mercury, before it moves into Pisces, is part of the part of the full moon, because Mercury is conjunct the sun and making a T-square to Uranus. So somewhere we are going to be challenged to look over these next few months. And when the stellium grows in Pisces with Venus, Saturn, Neptune, the North Node, at one point we'll have the sun and the moon, obviously February, March. And I think we're all being looked to. Where are we listening with our ears and not our heart? Where are we listening with where history tells us is true, and what tells us, okay, hey, maybe this is new times, new energies, maybe things are to be broadened. And I think that's a lot about Jupiter's transit in Gemini. While it is in detriment, because it is moving into this energy that has to look at the details. And I think some of those details are not the talk that's coming at me, but some of the things that I feel are missing in conversations, where things are so broad that they could be interpreted a million different ways. So I think that's really what's coming up, because as the full moon is on the 12th, but we're going to feel the square, the T-square to Uranus coming up as the sun. Well, it isn't actually a T-square yet. It's a square from the sun and Mercury. So that does not sound like fun at all, Stephen. But we will send you good prayers for you to have a good and successful procedure. The focus too, as the nodes have shifted, that's another significant shift, because the nodes are going from air and fire to earth and water, with the North Node stretching us for that divinity within, to trust this sort of, I want to offer it this way, because when we're not used to trusting our intuition or trusting that gut instinct, we get to task our guides, our angels, all that is the universe. Give me a sign. Give me 3 signs. Validate that I'm interpreting this correctly. And that's because by the end of 2025, our lives are going to be moving at light speed. That's the whole point I'm trying to make, is that as the outer planets move into fire and air, things are just going to start to passions, communications, ideas. This wanting independence is going to be really, and when I say independent, I mean independent thought, independent feeling of being a co-creator and manifesting things beyond what is bestowed to us by others, like our employers. So this is really powerful, I think. Okay. Alrighty. So check out that full moon video, and join me on Wednesday for the live. Prepare your questions, and it'll be fun again. Okay, so let me just run back and say hello to everybody before I start the tarot readings. I said hi to Taylor and Catherine. Hi, Small Wildflowers. Good to see you. Did you get my text this morning? Hi, Catherine. Hi, Lucy. Hi, Little Grasshopper. Hi, Shan. Katerina. All right, everybody. Yeah, Yeah, I sent you a little text. Okay, so let's go. We're going to start with our Aquarius, and happy Valentine's Day for those who celebrate. And for those who believe it's Single Awareness Day, congratulations to you too. That's this Friday. I think this is the other thing that made me I started like thinking about the weird things that we do. Valentine's Day is in Aquarius season, right? And Aquarius is so independent. Aquarius is the guy that's the astronaut, okay? The guy that's in space with maybe one other person. Maybe there's two, three, sometimes, it's a team. But basically, there's a big feeling of isolation and exile. And there's this feeling of going out on your own and having ideas that are so different. And here, then we're celebrating this Valentine's Day about couples and lovers, and it's just so bizarre to me. Why isn't that during Leo season? Why isn't Valentine's Day during Leo season? So I just started thinking there's so many weird opposites that, I started thinking about how Aries, co-rules the fire. I'm sorry, Mars co-rules the fire of Aries and the water of Scorpio. And how come Mars doesn't like water when it's in Cancer? And so I was just thinking there's so many interesting nuances and things about the chart. So when I was thinking about why would Mars like being in Cancer instead of, being in Scorpio? Look at my brain. It's so frazzled. Why would Mars enjoy and rule Scorpio, and yet it wouldn't want to rule it doesn't feel comfortable in Cancer? And I think it's not just because Scorpio's stingy, but because there's strategy involved. There's a sense of feeling empowered inside the Scorpio energy within your emotions. Whereas the Cancer energy and that little crawling idea makes Mars feel powerless. So how can Mars feel powerful inside of Cancer, where it is right now, okay, retrograde, feeling frustrated? It's because if Mars can implement the psychology that it knows when it is in Scorpio, when it's in Cancer, it would be more powerful. So I have these weird thoughts. And I think that the stars and their character traits that they represent are expanding. And they're like little diamonds that are multifaceted. And it's our opportunity to extract through our natal chart, through the degrees, through our intuitions, how this aligns for us as individuals. I hope that makes sense. All right, here we go, Aquarius, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. And I'm telling you, the more and more I live and breathe, the more I think that the moon is the most important aspect of our whole chart. The sun is important because, it is our ego, but it is when the moon and the sun are aligned, like in a new moon, that's when I believe the sun is at its best, because the sun gets a chance to come from the heart versus the ego. So pay attention to all those things. All right, we're going to look at our Aquarius, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Your first card is the Six of Pentacles. The second is the Hermit. The third in the Angel's Advice is the King of Swords. That's your card. And then there's the Wheel of Fortune. Okay. My mind, thinks about a lot of things all the time. It sort of just runs all the time. And I've been thinking about how the stellium in Pisces is your second house, where your values are, where your self-worth is, where your skills are, where your history is. And we could think, well, this is a history that is felt, Aquarius can feel exiled, which can make you feel invisible. Here, I think this is starting to tell a new story for my Aquariuses. I think this is Pluto, but Pluto coming from the awareness of an imprint. Because as Pluto moves through your first house, it's offering you an opportunity to rise like the phoenix. And I think that the Six of Pentacles is an earth card. It's a money card where the universe or a benefactor is bestowing some resource upon you. Now, here's this rare white buffalo. That's kind of how you are, Aquarius. You're rare, you're unique, you're quirky to the average bear. But what you are is creative and inventive and thinking so far out of the box that you see stars, literally. And I think it's important to take time to reflect upon that, because this is about you starting to believe that you're a rare buffalo, starting to believe that the universe is bringing things to you. And if there's been some divine disruption, and that's like how I like to refer to it, because Pluto is going through those first few degrees of Aquarius, and that's the jarring energy of the big energy shift. And you could inadvertently feel the more challenging sides of Pluto, where you become aware of the colder sides, or maybe the more, the hermit is going through a reflection of some kind. And when we're happy and go lucky, we're not reflecting. Okay. So there's a challenge that happens. It could be a physical challenge. It's Virgonian in nature, but it offers wisdom and enlightenment. And the angels are asking you to see things from a more majestic point of view, from the King of Swords, the King of Intellect, because the Wheel of Fortune in many ways is shifting for Aquarius. Now, I personally take this as a good feeling. I feel like it's more about as the Wheel of Fortune turns, we often can feel like vulnerable to the wheel, like where will it go? But as we start to really connect, and that's what's going to happen when we have the outer planets move into the fire and air signs, we're going to see that thoughts are things, they manifest very, very quickly. And that's what's starting to come into what I think your experience is. So as Mercury enters your second house, be mindful of your thoughts. We've got Venus traversing your third house right now, technically in whole sign. And as that happens, that's being brave to think about how your third house thoughts, your third house conversation supports your skills, your self-worth, and moving forward. I also want to say this, that I do think many of you will be reflecting on how you work, what your everyday work life is like, and if it is indeed lining up to what you want your future to feel like. So, oh, Queen Leo, how beautiful to picture our kitties having a nap. I love it. It's Sunday. You should be enjoying yourself. Oh, happy birthday, Catherine. Thank you for joining us. February 9th. It's so weird how I remember things. Ever since I was a little girl, I always remembered birthdays. And I had a friend named Wendy Blanchard. Wendy died when we were in junior high. She really had a very horrific ending, actually. But Wendy's birthday was February 9th. And I always remember it. When we were in grammar school, we used to play guitar and sing the Carpenters together. The song We've Only Just Begun, we sang it at our 6th grade graduation for everybody. And I'll never forget it. So happy birthday. Happy Wendy Blanchard. She's probably reincarnated anyway. But all right, here we go on to our Pisces. Now, Pisces. Okay, let's just talk about it for a minute, because you are on the docket for a huge next couple of months. We are going to have eclipses, by the way. I know it's not March yet, but I think forewarned is forearmed. We are catching. We're really, literally going into a bit of light speed. We will see technology shift over the next couple of years, like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. It's already been in the works, but it's all going to get launched like a rocket in flight. So I want to offer this because Pisces, as the planets convene in your first house. Okay, so we're looking at Mercury, we're looking at Neptune, we're looking at Saturn, we're looking at the sun coming in there. The moon will come in. Venus will retrograde back in. All of this is going to be February and March and even April. So as you're aware of this, it's going to be kind of an interesting time, because I think I kind of said this earlier, but a lot of us are going to experience the awareness of deceptions around us, people who have been deceptive or shady or leave out really important information, that involves our decision making. And as a result of that, there's going to be sort of a little bit what I think is a divide. And as Saturn and Neptune start hanging out at that last degree of Pisces and dip into Aries, we're going to look at ourselves and start to differentiate between the, the restrictive, erosive, old school energies and this nuance of the peaceful warrior coming in from a spiritual place. Rather than battling the man, we're going to energetically through our minds move obstacles out of our way. Mercury is in fall in Pisces, and it's in big fall because it is double. Mercury in Virgo is exalted. So in Virgo, Mercury is super different than it is in Gemini. And by the way, welcome to our room, Dejhudi. I hope I said that correctly. I love seeing new people in our on our Sunday show. We're going to be live, me and all my personalities, on Wednesday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time, where I'm going to be answering your personal questions. So come back on that day. And those that donate through the super chat or super thanks will move to the head of the class. All right, on to our Pisces, because I think this first house, so this is going to be this could very much be self-deception as well, by the way. It does not mean that everything is outside of us is sketchy. It could be that the stories that we tell ourselves, I'm not good enough, I'm not creative enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not whatever enough. All right, let's see. Our first, in our foundational position, we pull the Six of Wands. That's a beautiful card. That's victory. We have the Knight of Wands, which is creativity and heroism. We have the Wheel of Fortune in the Angel's Advice. And in the final position, we have the King of Swords. Look at that. This is very similar cards to what we had the last time. We had the Six of Pentacles. Now we're seeing the Six of Wands. The Six of Wands is victory. It's creative. We see this character reaching for the stars. So this is very much Piscean. I very much want to say this as well. Your creativity knows no bounds. And I feel like this creativity does not have to be narrowed into just what we think of as Piscean, music and photography and filmography. You could be very creative with money, with cement. I don't really care what the medium is, but I think it's time to allow your passions to fly, to allow yourself to really, the Knights represent a hero energy. They're also very teenage and very youthful in their exuberance, but the Knight of Wands is very passionate. And the Wheel of Fortune is offering this opportunity to really know that you have the momentum and the skills. Here we're seeing the Wheel of Fortune representing all the elements that come into play, the four angels, the four archangels watching over you. Now, this Aquarian energy, okay? This is kind of about being a little bit less emotional, more analytical, more, kind of Pisces can be, in its softness, it can be like literally, it could get applause from 100 people and then 2 or 3 people don't applaud, and they would focus on that because they want to make everybody happy and they want everybody to feel the emotion that they display through their creativity. And here I think this is a little bit about toughening up. I think it's a little bit about being more analytical at this time versus trying to please everyone, or trying to, or even potentially, if you're doing that self-deception thing where you don't think you're good enough at something, then it's time to start to connect the dots from looking at things from a higher perspective, from a more intellectual, less emotional. This guy's a little cold sometimes. Okay, on to our Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. All right, here we go. Hi, CC Pups. Welcome to the room. Happy Sunday. And for those of you that are just coming in or maybe sitting in, not necessarily revealing yourself in the chat, on Wednesdays from now on, I think I'm going to start doing this. God, here we go, committing to something else. A 4 to 6 p.m., your questions answered, your questions, specific, what you want. I think this is really fun. It's a new way to interact. It's a new way for us all to share information and to support each other. So I hope you'll join me. Those that donate in the super chat or super thanks, they're really actually donating a lot more than money because it helps me get on the algorithm, helps me get my videos seen more. And I've been advertising, but the advertising is not working as well as those super chats, I gotta tell you. All right, here we go. La-da-dee. Aries. We have the 9 of Pentacles. This is a wonderful energy. Very much represents creating abundance for yourself, feeling a sense of peace, knowing your own boundaries. We have the Hierophant, which is very Taurian in its energy. It's also, there's a strong connection to the stars because of your belief system. We have in the Angel's Advice, the King of Swords again. That's 3 for 3. That's pretty amazing. And then the Queen of Swords. Wow. Okay. So look at this deck. Yeah, it's pretty big. And you see me shuffle. So this is pretty wild. Okay. So this is our foundational position. It's time for Aries to start to look at the bounty, start to be aware of, as your ruling planet Aries is going through Cancer, you could very well feel just pissed off. I got to tell you, I felt like this Mars transit was very difficult, this retrograde, because it just feels like whatever the opposition to Pluto revealed, and then we move back into the house of nurturing, the house of home. And if we didn't have a great childhood, it just feels exasperating to me. And there's a little bit of this feeling of people wanting to come back and sort of have their last word. And I feel like some of us have just decided to walk away from it. And that's what I think this 9 of Pentacles is for Aries. I don't have time to go back and war with people that it's immobile, I mean, as we know astrology, we know the fixed signs. God bless you. We love you so much. I have a fixed moon. Okay. It's hard for those people to shift. So when you're in conflict with a person who's highly fixed, you could be banging your head against a wall. You really could. And I think this is what Spirit is saying for your opportunity or your obstacle, is to really be like connected to your stars, connected to how your belief system, understand the, kind of, if you look in that labyrinth that he's in, we see the crystals, we see a star within that, we see the bear that represents for me protection through lightning, ideas and epiphanies, and then we see this bull representing that Taurian energy of my history, of where I've been. And now the King of Swords is saying move into the future. And again, this is not an emotional energy. It's sometimes, I absolutely believe that there is a point, at least in my life, where in order for me to be the hero in my life and to be happy, I might have to be the villain in your life and say no to an energy that just doesn't work for me, even if you want it to. And now here's the Queen of Swords. Okay, this Libra energy. So we're looking at we're looking at a couple, first of all. We're looking at Aquarian energy. We're looking at Libra energy. So we're looking at balance. We're looking at things from a higher perspective in the sense of more intellectual, less emotional, more fair. So I think for Aries, for this week, you will actually feel a sense of maybe calm. And if we think about Pisces as your 12th house, right? And again, this is in whole sign, and I encourage you, if you know the degree of your rising sign, anything from 14 degrees, 15 degrees later, look at your chart in Placidus, because that shifts how it is. But here, there's a transformation offered. And I think it's because you know when to pull out your sword, you know when to put your sword down. It's almost like Mars is now starting to feel how to traverse the two ruling energies. And it's been forced to do that through being in detriment. or being in fall, I'm sorry, in Cancer. Having to really look at psychologically, how do I understand other people around me, potentially fixed energies that won't shift, won't yield to my Mars leadership. And then I start to become more harmonious. We look at harmony in the form of Libra here, and we look at harmony in the form of this character embracing the dove of peace. And this tiger, the black tiger, makes me feel like I have healthy boundaries with the darker sides of my thoughts. Okay, on to our Taurus's rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I actually don't pull just one card. You get one question, but I do a 4-card spread, and you have to pick pile 1, 2, or 3. So it's interactive. So when you decide you want to ask a question, be prepared to stay in the chat. Don't go somewhere. Get your popcorn, get your Kleenex, get your beverage of choice, and then stay. I actually put a bowl of popcorn out for myself during that. It's kind of fun. All right, everybody, here we go. On to our Tauruses, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Well, Stephen, we'll be thinking of you. You're doing that on the full moon, which is interesting because you're having, that test done during the brightest phase of the moon. So maybe they'll be able to see everything clearly. All right, Taurus, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. 4-card pull, but it's all good. I might pull 5 depending upon the last card. I don't like to leave anybody with a challenging energy. Okay, here we go. Our Tauruses, the foundational position is the King of Swords. Did you not just see me shuffle? Did y'all not just see me shuffle? This must be, that Mercury square the sun and Uranus must be gonna be pretty big this week. This blows my mind. We literally have had the King of Swords every single reading. So that's 4. Wow. Somewhere I think, okay, I gotta say this because with Uranus being the focal point of this full moon in Leo and having Mercury conjunct the sun, this is something to do with the way we think. Yeah, Taurus rules that Hierophant. Yes, it does. Indeed, indeed. Okay, and the opportunity, the obstacle, we have the Hermit, reflection. In the Angel's Advice, we have the 9 of Cups. That's fun. That's wish fulfillment and the end of a cycle. All right, let's see what the final position is. The Knight of Swords. Look at all these swords coming up in not just swords like the suit, but the characters. So let's just quickly talk about the characters, okay? Because in our previous reading for Aries, we saw the Queen of Swords. So she's going to represent the water element and the air element coming together. So it's emotional. Now, the Queen of Swords is Libra energy, so it's very much about intellect. But all of the queens have the emotional, nurturing energy of the moon. All of the kings have the energy of the sun and the energy of intellect. All of the swords, the Knight of Swords, all of the knights have an energy of heroism, okay, and bravery. So here we are, Taurus, looking at the King of Swords, kind of stepping up and really looking at things from a higher perspective. When I say higher, I mean from a soul perspective. I feel like this reflection also offers a sense of well-being and a sense of wisdom. And within that wisdom, there is a feeling of peace within your heart. I'm going to tell you a little personal story real quick before I finish this, because I'm a Taurus moon at 9 degrees, which puts my moon in my first house. Okay. And it makes me very connected to my family history. It makes me very emotionally connected. That's how I'm of service in many ways, because this Knight of Swords is charging into the spread. And when he's charging into the spread, it makes me feel like, Taurus, this is willing to be brave about your reflection and finding out what will actually heal a situation and what will not heal a situation. Now, healing is a funny term for me personally, because I really believe that when we are ill or in dis-ease, that it offers us an opportunity for illumination, and how we contribute through our thoughts, through our focus of something and our belief in it. That's the other thing we're looking at, is a strong belief. What do I believe about the possibilities? Because this is asking me to be brave beyond my story, beyond my history. And honestly, Taurus is another sign that doesn't like to change. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say it doesn't like to change. There's lots of things I like to change, but there's certain things I don't like changing. And when it comes to my emotional body, anybody who rushes at me, or anybody who tries to be my friend out of balance, like, there are people I know that never call me, but then when they reach out to me, they're like, I haven't heard from you. And I'm like, well, I haven't heard from you either. So, don't make it my bad. I'm weird that way. That's my Libra wanting balance. That's my Taurus moon wanting an exchange of energy and something I can depend on. And I think that that's what's going on here, is that you're being tasked to look and review how you think. And if you're being stubborn, if you're being, and I don't want to, I don't want to always frame the bull as being stubborn, but sometimes because this is really about taking flight, it's really about looking at those eagles and taking flight and seeing something from a bigger perspective. Oh, small wildflowers, you are so sweet. My goodness, girl, you're paying me to work here? I love you so much. How do you do it? So Taurus, overall, that this full moon is pointed at you and Uranus. And there could be a big, because the sun is in Aquarius. Here's the Aquarian energy. So you could be tasked to be more mindful if you are contributing to your peace of mind, not because you're taking actions, but how you are emoting and processing. Mercury, your thoughts, alignment. Okay, onward and upward to our Geminis, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I love that little, what is that? What is this our little chipmunk wearing? It almost looks like a nurse's cap to me. Okay, here we go. Want to shuffle real good, see if that King of Swords gets his little self out here again. Well, the nodes, Stephen, you'll have a nodal return, and the nodal return, yeah, those are kung fu punches. Everybody was kung fu fighting. I can't remember the rest of it, but I'm like, I could probably remember it if this wasn't being recorded. Yes, communications do run two ways. And, I want to offer this because everybody, I appreciate that, it runs two ways, but a lot of what my communications are is work. So, like, to be my friend, I need people who are fast as lightning. That's right. I need people who will let me be frivolous and not always, responsible, and not always have to be the Saturnian energy in a situation. Oh yeah. Now I'm totally, the other day you said something to me and you put a song in my head for about an hour, and then that song led to another random song. And then I was like, I had a radio station going on in my head. It made me a little crazy. Okay. On to our Geminis, rising moon, sun, and stellium. It's not far for me to get to a little crazy. Okay. Gemini. Oh, we have the Hermit. That's mercurial. That's Virgo. The Queen of Cups, the Nine of Pentacles, and the Eight of Cups. Very interesting. All right. The Hermit is work. I've been feeling this every time I talk about Gemini. I feel like there's something shifting in your 10th house of Pisces. I feel like there is just an opportunity to, I don't know, be more dreamy about what can the potentials. This hermit literally feels like it has to do with work. It's Virgo, as I said. Here is, something's cold. Yeah, you, honey. I can't help it. I don't know why. But I always think something's shifting. And I think the fact that Saturn's been going through that house has been kind of putting some energy, slowing things down so that you could really start to, come from your heart, come from what would be most inspiring for me, what could bring me more bounty. I also want to offer this because, I have noticed that especially Gemini women are very busy human beings. They are like always running errands, I have no planets in Gemini, zero. And I'm Venusian in the sense of my moon and my sun are both ruled by Venus. I'm like lazy. I get stuff done, but I'm not like a get up and go person because there's something going on here where you are kind of walking away from some old habits and really wanting to move to something that's much more aligned to I want to say your peace of mind. Not that Gemini would ever truly like stop working, but using their mind in a way that might be more, when I think about Jupiter, right, going through your first house, and this next few months is going to be like lightning speed as Jupiter ends its journey here in Gemini and moves into your second house. And when it moves into your second house of Cancer, I think that may be where you have opportunities that up until now have not been presented. I can't help, this is what I'm seeing. Years ago, I worked for this restaurant, okay? And oh, no, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. I had moved to North Carolina. I told everybody in California, I'm out of here, see you later. And it was terrible. And I came back. When I came back, somebody called me and said there was another guy who was looking for a person like me. He thought I was still in North Carolina. He wanted someone with my skill set to do a certain job. So I gave him a call. And a few months later, I ended up working for him. While this was not my dream job, it certainly was helping me in the transition. Something about my Geminis is going to shift in your public status. And I think it has something to do with your career. Because if your career is creating too much stress or too much responsibility that's out of balance, you could potentially decide to come down a notch. And I don't mean that you're not going to make money, but just sort of be like, if I'm going to have to be this responsible, I'm going to be responsible to something that works for me, that makes me feel spiritually aligned versus, just making money for the man. That's what I'm going to say. And the outer planets shifting into this air and fire is going to offer opportunities that weren't there before, technology-wise. Lucy, I can totally see that because you're very communicative and you're very social. And both of those things are very social. Gemini is very curious. Gemini, look, this is the challenge. Every planet, every sign can be a total pain in the ass when it's unconscious, okay? Libra can be the worst passive aggressive, friend to your face, stab you in the back. I hate to say it, but it can be, and so the more self-actualized we are, the more authentic we can be in the configuration and representation of these planets. Because I'm very Martian, but I'm very Venusian. I'm not contrary either. I'm very brave and I'm very lazy. I make myself laugh. Okay. Well, of course, Elon, yeah. I mean, literally, we are going to colonate Mars in the next 20 years. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there'll just be 2 people there, but regardless, someone's going to live up there. So much is going to shift. We aren't even going to, literally, we're going from the horse and buggy to the race car. Because it's not just the Aquarian energy. It's Uranus moving into Gemini. Okay. That's going to be an 8 or 9 year stint. And Neptune moving into Aries. I'm not surprised. I bet he wants to go. All right, here we go. On to our Cancers, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Ooh. All right, so as Mars is transiting through your first house, and Mars is squaring Chiron all month. Chiron is in Aries. There could very well be feelings that you're, not being recognized in the home for whatever reason, or not being recognized. I really think that it's sketchy when you're one of the more nurturing signs, and your tendency is to try to make other people feel better. It's really a tightrope, because I feel like your best way to make other people feel better is to represent for them how to make yourself feel better. So, what do they say? Physician, heal thyself. So as you take care of yourself versus allowing Mars to make you frustrated, you take care of you, and you let whatever's frustrating you sit over here for a while. Let's see what Spirit has to say. We have the Queen of Cups. This would be you. We have the Four of Wands, which is celebration. We have the Hermit again. Wow. And then we have the Strength card. Okay, I'm going to try to say this lovingly, but literally when I look at this, I feel like all my Cancers, especially my Cancer moons, are being tasked to, gosh, I thought I turned off the sound. Okay, Queen of Cups is my Cancer energy. The Four of Wands is celebration, and the Hermit in the Angel's advice is looking for reflection and looking for where you work too hard. I think that what this spread is saying, especially because I chose to use this deck, the Strength card is showing the character coming from her heart, showing the infinity symbol, showing the Kundalini energy of the snake being tamed by the way that she's holding on to it. This is about your reactions to things. This is about I was just thinking about certain things like, holidays, and when people go all out to create an experience for the people around them. And if the people around them sometimes don't always, appreciate it, I think sometimes Cancer gets dampened. And I think that they get to recognize that part of this joy is for themselves as well. The joy of putting out the spread, the joy of nurturing others, the joy of being home and hearth for others, and then allowing yourself to celebrate. Do I celebrate myself? Do I allow myself to be a bear cub and look at all the yummy stuff that I have? Spring has sprung. There's so much bounty. And this is because you have an opportunity to recognize where you yourself have done the crab crawl. I'm fancy. Fancy, don't steal my man. I've seen that song by Reba. I don't know the words to that either. Okay, I do like a little fancy sometimes. I will admit it. I do not mind admitting it. But I'm not like fancy all the time. Although don't look at my Macy's credit card right now, because I might have been feeling a little fancy when I bought my recent winter coat and gloves. Fancy, don't let me down. I know that's Fancy's like don't steal my man too. Isn't that what she's singing about? Please don't take my man because you can. Okay. Jolene, that's the song. I love it when we all come together. We help each other. There's Jolene. Right. I'm mixing them up. There's two different songs. That's right. But I'm going to give it to Miss Jules because she pointed it out. All right, here we go. On to our Leos, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Dolly is Jolene, and oh my gosh, thank you, Small Bobs. And Reba is Fancy. I think I just committed a country crime. I literally think I just committed a country crime. That was not good. Reba's fancy. Yeah, she is. All right, here we go. On to our Leos, rising moon, sun, and stellium. I see these two ladies like shaking their fingers at me like, you should know better, girl. You love country. All right, here we go. I haven't seen her new show. I've been on a Traitors binge for like 3 weeks, man. And I got to tell you, the Australian version of Traitors is the best of them all. These people are ruthless, but it's only 2 seasons. I went Googling to see when the 3rd season of the Australian is going to air, and I couldn't find it. But I got to tell you, I'm so excited at the girl who, I can't remember her name right now, who mentioned it in the chat or in the comments. And it's just like literally, I'm gobsmacked at the end of these seasons on how, and I was rooting for this one guy to get voted off and get it voted off and he never did. But the end was beautiful. I know, it's such a great show. Well, my Mercury is in Scorpio. I love detective work. And let me tell you, they had these cops that were in the Australian, these people that were like so decorated and so far off the mark. I was like, oh my goodness. All right, here we go. On to our Leos, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. We have the Knight of Pentacles. We have the Ten of Swords. We have the Queen of Swords. And then we have the King of Pentacles. Wow. Okay. Literally, I feel like this is telling Leo to come to earth. Like, don't get in your head this week. You're going to be very much could potentially stressed. So let's look at the idea that Mercury is conjunct the sun in Aquarius, opposing the Leo energy. And we have the full moon. This Knight of Pentacles is literally being brave about resources, being brave about, I don't know if you can see the horse bending down towards the ground. We see all the feathers in the trees. This is very much a feeling of integration between, flight and what you can see from the air and bringing it into the earth, because there is the potential that you could feel very stressed out this week. This is overkill. This is drama. Literally, it's Leo drama. Now, I don't want to be, I don't necessarily mean that on the side of negativity, but I do suddenly see this warrior. He has this feather in his hair and then the heart. And I feel like this is echoing back to the knight and the feathers here. You're going to have to pull yourself up this week and sort of be a little bit more intellectual in how you're viewing things. You're going to have maybe a little bit of a moment of feeling like something is going back around, but here's the King of Pentacles at the end of this. So if you're indeed worried about money, if you're worried about resources, because the pentacles can very much represent resources, and depending upon, again, your rising degree, some of your you could have a 12th house Leo energy, and it could make you super anxious because you're feeling that, the 12th house Leo is kind of interesting because that 12th house is very spiritual, but it's also the house where you feel invisible and where you get in your own way. And I think that this could be where, if you feel a little bit worried about money, about your earthly security, that knight and that king are dominating me, because the 10 of Pentacles is your opportunity and or your obstacle. This is the other thing, which is very interesting. I'd never noticed it before, but look at he's standing with his legs apart, and he's got this big red stripe kind of going right up through his base chakra, the groin area. So this definitely feels like it's about resources and money this week. And you'll come out okay if you could just see to the future versus looking at what you have now. I want to offer this. When the nodes first shifted and the South Node went into the sign of employment, Virgo, I can't tell you how many of my clients called me saying, nobody's booking. I'm going to be poor forever. And I'm like, it's just temporary. It's an adjustment. There was also the fires that happened here in Los Angeles. And while I'm not in Los Angeles, I'm south of Los Angeles. There was this ripple effect. So if indeed Leo's been worried about money, resources, security, safety, keep your eye on the prize. Okay. All right, on to our Virgos, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Oh, the fires were in, I can't even tell you how, it's such an interesting thing to think about. We're moving from earth and water into air and fire. When you wrote that, it made me think, how interesting is it that as Pluto's in the last degrees of earth, it inadvertently in Los Angeles deprives the reservoirs of water, which then fuel the fire. And the fire is burning something down so it can rise like the phoenix. That city's going through crazy transformation. All right, let's go on to our Virgos. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. South node in your first house is literally looking at where there's too much perfection, too much process, too much rigidity, too enslavement to the mind. Wow. Okay, so the cards are falling out of the deck. Let's look and see what we're going to do today. Virgo, rising, moon, sun, yes, and stelliums. City of Angels has not been acting as if it is connected to angels. Because this stellium in Pisces is, I think for the Virgo Pisces axis is going to be super powerful. Because if you think about Virgo, the house of self as the first house, and the Pisces stellium is opposing you. So every process you had through your mind, everything you've come to depend on in routine, everything that you have looked outside of yourself to help you with your health is going to challenge you to come back inside of yourself and create a relationship with your divinity within in order for your peace of mind to be fostered. The true integration of the physical and the spiritual is what's happening for these signs. And for the Lucy has a Virgo stellium fighting with a Pisces transit stellium. Wow, that's going to be pretty interesting. All right, let me get back to the shuffling here. Virgo sun, Pisces moon. So you're going to have it too. But, this is what I want to say is that if you guys take the Virgo energy and you look at it as applying the process of meditation, of awareness of my thoughts, awareness, is my self-talk supporting my ease and my enjoyment, or is it fighting it? Because worry is a form of prayer that doesn't serve you. So that could be very much what's going on at this time. And this is the other thing. Like when I say to connect with your divinity, I'm not asking you to float on a raft in the ocean and just pretend that there's no storms ahead. What I'm trying to say is that when you look at your angels and your guides and the universe, you go, look, I'm very earthbound. You need to give me an earthly experience so I can root this in. Don't be talking conceptually to me. I don't work that way. And they will start to deliver. That's the thing. They will. It's your job to see the delivery, to put the pieces together, to Virgo, see the process of spirit giving you messages and actually thinking, hey, this is their earthly way of communicating with me. All right. Foundational position, Virgo, is the hanged man, literally going into meditation and pause. Yes, exactly. The dew overshadowing the bee. And it's so ineffectual that way. Literally, the bee is this state, the bee BEE, sustains the ecosystem. One little flying creature with a stinger, no less. And if you think about it, this is going to be so crazy, is a bee is yellow and black. Yellow represents the power chakra, and black represents the darkness. So there's an integration of your power through sometimes a dark experience of being stung, and then having that contrast be your awareness of, okay, that's done. I don't want that again. Hanged man, pause, some sort of illumination. Knight of Pentacles. That's very interesting. That's a Virgo energy, by the way, the Knight of Pentacles, because our king is Taurus energy. 8 of is the Strength card in the Angel's Advice. That's taming that Kundalini energy. And the 6 of Cups, you are so here to start looking at life through a child's eyes again. You know, I talk all the time about how Virgo is the virgin, that you're not supposed to be perfect, that the whole point is to go on a journey of discovery. You've come out of the first 5 houses, with the 5th house representing high school, romance, that education. Now you're going into that 6th house of taking the first 5 houses and putting it to service to others. Part of that service is to have a childlike enjoyment and fun, an interest in new things, to use mercurial energy to be curious and not stuck in process. So here's your opportunity, is to feel things rooted into the earth plane through your Virgo energy. And here is taming that Kundalini, that fear, that fight or flight energy. And here is the 6 of Cups, the recapturing of your childlike innocence, or your childlike belief that good things can happen. I got to tell you, the first, I talk about Lucky all the time, and those first few years, the first decade, he triggered my belief that when I love something, it's either dies or gets taken away from me, or it disappears. It leaves me in some way. And then we went through all his allergies, and all those times I almost killed him with the borax soap, the whole thing. And he lived over and over again. And when I finally, that day he bit me was like a turning point. A dark moment brought in the sunshine between us. And ever since then, we have had such a better relationship. And he trusts my leadership more, because I'm not coming from fear or from perfectionism or being enslaved to my mind anymore. That's the whole challenge with the Virgo. Okay, I'm moving on now to Libra. Exactly. Conspiring is an interesting word. It's very scorpionic. The universe is always, moving things around for your highest and greatest good. And sometimes it moves an obstacle in your way so that you can say, I no longer want that obstacle. I no longer need to go around that mulberry bush again. All right. Libra, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. And this is interesting because your Leo degree is important here too. Because Leo, did I say Leo? Geez, my mouth. I don't even know what words come out. I'm in so many different places at once. I sometimes wonder if I do get dementia, if I'll even know it. Okay. Libra, 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 Libra. Let me practice saying that word, Libra. If you have anything within 0 to 12 degrees of 2 degrees of Libra, this is really important, especially for your rising sign. I happened to see my sister in my head when I was talking. She has a 2-degree Libra rising. That is literally on the supergalactic center. So Libra, especially the earlier born Libras, the first, half of the Libra energy, when you come in with a Libra sun or a Libra rising, Libra sun is actually in fall. So you've chosen somewhere to use the harmonics of the Libra energy to create balance in some way, not for you to shine, which is interesting. That's if your sun is in Libra. If you're rising, you are here to see that you are a co-creator with the universe. Uranus is a generational planet, and so I'll take that. So there, on some level, this reflects the moving into the future. But if your personal planets are over there or you're rising, it's all about you. It's all about you. And also Uranus would indicate, new ways to look at partnership, new ways to create harmony, new ways to look at connection. Okay, Libra. We have the Eight of Swords. Rah, ha, ha. That's so fun. Then we have the Knight of Swords. Then we have the Fool. And then we have the Seven of Cups. Very interesting. The Eight of Swords is always a challenge because you're part of the challenge. The way that you think, how you roll. Traditionally, in the Rider-Waite, we see this woman that's bound. She's got like a gauze over her eyes. She seems to be bound, but it's very loose, and she's within a wall of swords. So she's part of the energy where she's thinking, what she's focusing in on. Here we see this Eight of Swords. Now it's a little bit different, and it's not so harsh in this deck, but this eagle is prominent. And he's flying above the swords. He's flying above the challenge. So there's something being tasked where Libra is being asked to look above the situation and to look at where they are co-creating with another. The Knight of Swords is almost demanding as an obstacle that I be aware of and brave about how I think. That challenging part of the Libra energy is passive aggressive. I don't like confrontation. So I don't want to tell you why I'm mad. That's the other thing sometimes. No offense, but the air signs, man, they can be so annoying. Not really Aquarius for me, because Aquarius is they don't mind shocking you with their thoughts. But Libra and Gemini can sometimes be so social and being so non-confrontational that they'll hint around at what's bugging them, but they won't tell you outright. And I think that's part of the Eight of Swords. That could be part of the problem. Bravery in your expression, sort of being the Fool. Now in this deck, the Fool, that moon, you don't see the moon in most Fool cards. And then we see this crocodile. This is literally the opposing between this survival mode, this basic, reptilian thoughts versus coming from your emotional body. And the emotional body is asking you to be aware of your own duplicity. It's interesting to me, because the awareness is not about criticism. If we think about Virgo, the South Node in Virgo, it's for Libra rising. It's in the house of self-troubles, self-undoing, where your own, you could inadvertently be aware of thoughts that you want harmony, but you're feeling critical of other aspects. And Spirit's asking you to look at the duality of every situation, because that's where you'll find your peace. We see that the symbols on the cups below are, in some ways they're balanced, but they're up and they're down. And then we see stars in the cups up here. There are 4 down here representing the earthly plane, right? And there are 3 here representing the Trinity. So I think for my Libras, this is an awareness of your own thoughts and how your thoughts contribute to your experience. And if for some reason you have, a long story with somebody, a long history with somebody, because that's that crocodile, Spirit is asking you to be brave to look at your contribution in that history. So I have, you've heard me talk about my challenges with my sister. I have chosen not to go back around the mulberry bush, and rather than trying to express myself verbally, where I have repeatedly banged my head against a wall, I've just exited stage left once again. Rather than re-engaging in something that is not productive, I can recognize the, double, sometimes triple energy of her fixed signs and step out. It is what it is. Okay, on to our Scorpios, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our little Sunday tribe is, I love that we're, in this, I feel like there's a lot of people in the room. I know there's 24, doesn't seem like a lot, but to me it feels, and 22 just drops to, but I feel like we're growing here on Sundays. And please join me on Wednesdays. My sister hasn't talked to me in Literally, we haven't spoken for about 8 years. And when we spoke, the second conversation, I did the terrible crime of actually trying to update her about my life. And she snapped at me and she said, I didn't call you to hear about you. I called you to have you answer a question for me. So then, she's clearly forgotten about that snappy thing that she did. Then 2 months went by and she called me to ask me for lunch. And I said, I didn't say anything because I remember that snappy conversation. And all I could picture was me sitting there as an audience of one listening to her. And I don't want to do that. So, God bless DNA. Do not associate. Wednesdays from 4 to 6, we're going to do it. Small wildflowers. That seems to be the consensus for everybody in the various time zones. So I'll put up something on the community board again. I might even do a little premiere video if I have time. Well, I always have time, but if I have the energy and the motivation and the good hair. Okay, here we go. On to our Scorpios, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. All righty. We have the Hierophant in the foundational position. We have the Two of Swords in the opportunity or the obstacle. We have the Nine of Cups in the Angel's advice. And we have the Five of Pentacles. This is not easy for my Scorpios, I got to tell you. Now, if you're an early born Scorpio, there's a couple things going on. Because if you have early degree rising, sun, moon, you're on the Shapley attractor at 2 degrees of Scorpio, which would task you to really release any false attachments to other people's through their money, through sex, through the power they have over you. When we look at the Hierophant energy, we're very much looking at your belief system. And I said earlier, it's very difficult for the fixed signs once they believe something to shift. And I'm wondering if this has something to do with money and resources, because we see the bull, the Taurian energy. And here a decision must be made. That's your opportunity and or your obstacle. And the angels are telling you to follow your wish fulfillment, to actually bet on yourself, because I think right now it could be the harder side of Scorpio. Because look at this. We're looking at this feeling. The Five of Pentacles feels as if I believe I'm going to be rejected. I believe I'm not going to win. I believe that what I want won't happen. And I really think that this is like Spirit saying to you, Scorpio, especially Scorpio moon, because you're so emotionally intuitive and you can really tune into some of the more challenging dynamics. And the Pisces energy is trining you. It's supporting you to have an epiphany of some kind, to release any self-deceptions, any fog about your talents. Because I feel like when I looked at this, that Spirit was literally saying to connect with the higher part of yourself. That if you have to make a decision to believe in your own dreams, to believe in your own good things happening. Because if not, you're just going to sit in this constant feeling of rejection, of feeling like things don't work for me. And when we look at the characters, the one guy is down, he cannot see, but the dog, okay, that represents unconditional love, it's actually a wolf, maybe it's a coyote, is looking ahead. And I think I'm going to pull one more. You're too focused on heartbreak, my Scorpios. You're too focused on what has been that has not worked for you. You're too focused on somebody coming up and taking your happiness away from you. And I got this Three of Swords on top of that. So if you are going on, if for some reason this full moon illuminates something in your romantic love sector, because Leo is romance, and it is feeling, I think more than anything, I don't think this is new. I think this is old for Scorpio. I think that the Scorpio tends to look to where do I need to protect myself? Where are criminals trying to hurt me? And if you, like everybody, has had a challenging love story, now it's time to stop looking for the challenges and start to claim the reward that you have garnished from the challenges. Oh, this is not easy. I do think that the square is really what the square that's being formed in this full moon to Uranus could bring up something for you specifically. All right. Well, it's always it's always the highest part of the chart, the MC. All right, here we go. On to our Sagittarius rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Your midheaven is 5 degrees of Scorpio, Queen Leo. If that is true, that would mean that your career, your public image, how people see you, you are on some level being tasked to release their opinion of you and allow your genius to come forth. 15 degrees Sagittarius rising is probably one of the greatest rising signs you can have, because that's on the great attractor. So literally through your own focus, intention, and belief, you can attract whatever you need to yourself. And at 15 degrees, you're being tasked to pay attention to the mind that goes to the more mundane thoughts. I have a 15-degree midheaven, Capricorn midheaven. And I do believe that I have my Mercury is in Scorpio. I really believe that a lot of how I'm hardwired is to be a verbal teacher, to teach about thought and speech and how it affects you. I didn't realize when I named Lucky, because I didn't think he was going to be my dog, that it really would be very fitting for how he changed my life. He has Jupiter and Venus in Taurus, and he brought abundance to me, and he flanks my moon. So, whenever I'm being aware of how I'm communicating, I'm always aware of the subtle vibrations of my words. In fact, I've been thinking about revisiting word vibration of the week and putting that in on the YouTube. But I'm always popping off with ideas, and then the Venusian part of me kicks in. All right, Sagittarius, here we go. Oh, we have the devil in the foundational position. And I want to offer you this idea, because we were just talking about the 15th degree being the Gemini degree. That's the 15th card. The devil is often our thoughts and where they go. Yes, there's the devil and there's evil in the world outside of us, but there's also that darkness within us. And sometimes that's where we get trapped in our fears, in what we feel, so something may be going on, Sagittarius. Are you trapped in your fears? The Emperor, individual thought, bravery, Mars, temperance. Look at this. 3 out of 4 cards are major arcana cards. Temperance is your card. It's very Sagittarian to me. What road will you pick? And the 9 of Wands. Okay. During this particular time, I want to offer this for my Sagittarians, depending upon this could also represent authority, and authority restricting you, authority telling you something that it thinks it knows, but it doesn't. So this is where I'm going to go. Little story. I haven't watched Pam Gregory in forever, and she came up on my YouTube as a guest on some guy's show. I cannot remember his name. And she started talking about the telepathy tapes. This is a YouTube channel that deals with nonverbal autistic children and how they have the ability to communicate through telepathy. Fascinating. Experiments, very scientific. Because what I think is going on here for my Sagittarians is you're going through an awareness that your thoughts are things. And there may be a situation where outside forces are telling Sagittarius that you cannot do something. And I will tell you that you can do it if you will be brave enough to be aware of the thoughts that are contrary. And then if we look at this character, look at the eagles on his throne. They're very similar to the Aquarian energy. Okay, that leads me to be that you might have to be a little rebellious in your thoughts, in how you choose to perceive something, because the Temperance card in the Angel's Vice is literally telling you to connect to your divinity. What road will you pick? Will you pick the road where the sun rises, or will you pick the road that I almost feel like the road is telling, like, okay, I am really a pain in the ass. Okay. When someone tells me I can't do something, I'm like, yes, I can. When someone tells me my body is breaking down because of my chronological age, I tell them, birds up to you. I'm directing this, because I'm thinking, this is, what road will you pick? Will you pick the individual thought, or will you go down the dark side of giving your power away to somebody else? And just because that person is an authority, are they truly an authority over your vibration? Because I think that there's a sense of self-protection. But look at that red robe. Look at the two dogs here. I feel like there is a big opportunity for you to come, like, to start to be aware of the duality of things, that fear sometimes serves this feeling of empowerment when we say, no, I don't think that's necessarily true for me. So here we go. When I told people that I wanted to be an intuitive and I wanted to make a living and I didn't want to work for anyone anymore, they all laughed at me and said, go get your little, your little fold out chair and your little TV stand and go sit on Venice Beach on the weekends, because you're not going to make any money. You can't live off this. And then what I realized is Spirit was using my intuitive gifts as a teaching tool to help empower others. And I wasn't supposed to follow a rule from somebody else. I was supposed to allow the Aquarian energy within me to blossom and to allow myself that individuality. Also to allow myself, as my 6th house is Virgo, 5th, 6th house is Virgo, allow myself to be flawed within that process, to not always be perfect, to recognize that I've made mistakes and then to know where they came from. Not a lack of knowledge, but moving too quickly, trying too hard to push on my Saturnian energy to get it done and also my Virgonian energy to get it done, versus saying, hey, wait a minute, maybe it's more about the quality. So, all right. So there we go. Now we're going to go on to our Capricorns, and we will be rounding out our day. And you'll be joining me, I hope, on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, where I will answer your questions. And we will chat, we will have fun. And those who donate into the super chat and the super thanks are really not giving me any money per se, but giving me an opportunity to get on the algorithm and to get our information seen more. So I want to let you know I really, really appreciate all of that. And our goal this year is to get to 100,000 followers, and not just the first subscribers, and not just to subscribe, but to be part of our tribe and to give us their vibrational input and ideas, and to share those ideas. So I think we're looking for, we want to make the world a happier place. Yeah, Lucy, I love Sundays and I love Wednesdays, and I'm thinking, do I give one up for the other? No, we just add in. We just bring more stuff. 1 question, 4 cards. Money talks, bullshit walks. All right, here we go. Final reading for today for our Capricorn rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. And go Kansas City. And this is not a Taylor reference. This is more, I don't like the Eagles because of Michael Vick. And if you don't know who Michael Vick is, look him up. And I'll tell you, I will always root against the Eagles. I don't care if the Bad News Bears was playing against the Eagles. I'd be betting on the Bad News Bears. All right, here we go. Capricorn, our first angel, I should say our first tarot card is the Queen of Cups. How appropriate for your Plutonian transfer. My words, for your recent Plutonian transit. All right. Now we go to the angel's advice is the Emperor, individuality. Aha. I love that. And the final is celebration in the form of the Four of Wands. Okay, I want to offer this for my Capricorns because of Pluto's transit. It's never, Pluto's transits are rewarding, but they're never easy. They always start off a little bit shaky, and even for the most aware person. So this coming from your heart is literally, I feel like Spirit is applauding your transformation, your awareness. I just love this feeling of, and this coming from your heart is not necessarily about emoting to others, but knowing and starting to understand what you want for your heart. Because here, through meditation, through a pause, you are individualizing yourself so much. You're having an opportunity to really feel your power, your bravery, your leadership, and an awareness of the duality. Because now is a time to celebrate, and I literally think it's a celebration of the self. All right, here you go. So I want to offer this because I had to read what Queen Leo said, and I'm going to respond. But I think this is taking time this week to celebrate your individuality, to celebrate your awareness, to celebrate your being able to be Saturnian and then walk through this Piscean, because Saturn's going through Pisces, to walk through that energy and to feel the strength of it versus the earthly pull under. I really believe that because Saturn is a god, he is not of this earth. And while he rules building over the earth, agriculture, and gave us the tools through the golden age, one of those tools was the divinity within us and our ability to co-create through our thoughts. So I think this is going to be a pretty good week emotionally for my Capricorns. Okay, that's it. This is my thing. Okay, so when it comes to Michael Vick, all right, the whole story was that he had a dog fighting ring, right? And I just don't get it. Okay, I can't do it when it comes to animals. My Venus in Virgo wants to literally hurt people who hurt animals. So it's one thing for him to do that and be a bad guy and go to jail. Okay, I get it. But when the Eagles brought him back after he'd gone to jail for the money, I felt like it just threw all of his punishment away and gave him literally a get out of jail free card. So I cannot at all like the Eagles. I can't like them now. I won't like them again in the future. They've ruined it for me. You're animal killers, you're animal haters. No offense to you Eagles fans, but the ball club itself feels greedy to me. So and once somebody hurts an animal, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't. You hurt a baby, you hurt an animal, I can't forgive it. I could forgive Diddy faster than I could forgive Michael Vick. I know that seems awful. Maybe I'm a terrible human, but that's how I go. Oh, I know. It's just so bizarre how money, literally somebody decided one day to cut down a tree and paint a dead president's face on it and make it valuable. And the things that we do for those friggin' pieces of paper kill me. And this is why the beauty of why I think these planetary shifts are going to be so powerful, because we're going to recognize that the greatest commodity that we have is not the money in our wallet. It's how we use our thinking, how we engage the universe to bring in those resources. And then it's sky's the limit. Maybe it's bigger than that. Maybe the universe is the limit. I don't know what the whole don't meet your heroes kind of thing. I just feel like somebody should not be rewarded. I don't feel like people who do terrible things to innocents should be. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I don't want to judge, but I feel like, I don't know. I can't do it. You can't hurt animals and have me be a supporter. So anyway, I didn't watch any of those award shows. I'll tell you, I'm just into this Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs traders show. So, all right, guys, enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday. Eat lots of fun snacks. I'm still not partaking in alcohol. And I got to tell you, I really like it. I'm kind of like, every morning I wake up, I'm like, feel so great. So anyway, we'll be back. We'll be back next Sunday, but we'll be back on Wednesday. So I hope that you'll be able to join me then. Again, formulate your questions and get ready for your what pile you want to pick, and we will have fun on Wednesday and have a great week. And just be mindful that this moon could be expect the unexpected. And this is the other thing. Check out the video, but I also think that we may find out some information about our aviation systems or about space travel, flight, air travel. I really think it's more aviation on the earth than it is space travel. Maybe we'll hear that. This is what I got when I was doing the full moon video, that there could be information about an electrical issue within the Black Hawk helicopter or something that went offline that was not, I don't know. I felt like there was a glitch. So we'll see, because that would be interesting to find out if that's what's illuminated in the full moon. Okay. Really? All right, everybody. Oh, we're all kind of being sober together. How fun. It's just, that's kind of cool. All right, guys, sending lots of love to you. I'll see you on Wednesday. And if I don't see you on Wednesday, I'll see you next Sunday. And if I don't see you next Sunday, I'll see you next Wednesday. And if I don't see you next Wednesday, I'll see you the Sunday after that. Okay, I'm crazy right now. Love y'all. Bye.